What's up, everybody? Welcome back to Space Arena Ground Arena. BananaCrapshoot here, looking at Legends of the Force decks. One I'm really excited about. One of my favorite new decks so far in the early stages of testing is the new Anakin Skywalker, who is only heroic. And I've paired him with a blue Force base, so we can play lots of good blue hero cards, and then play all the awesome Villainy events and stuff. So let's get into it. As always, have a bit of an agenda. The overview, talk about the leader, general game plan, Legends of the Force stuff, our path with Anakin to the dark side, the sauce, the sideboard, and then there is another slide with other considerations added to the deck. So here's the general overview of the deck. As you can see, we got 3 Force Lightning, 3 Night Sister Warrior, 3 Restored Arcs, 3 Secretive Sage, 3 Yaddle, 2 Force Chokes, 3 Concord Dawn Interceptor, 3 Yoda, 2 Power of the Dark Side, 3 Cheer It, 3 Itinerant Warrior, 2 No Glory Only Results, 3 Overwhelming Barrage, 3 New Anakin, 3 Obi-Wan, 3 Palpatine Return, 3 Luke, and 2 Redemption. And then in the sideboard, 2 Craving Power, 2 Drain Essence, 3 Entrenched, 3 Whirlwind of Power, and 2 Super Laser Blast. So you can see it's just blue hero for the most part, a couple single blue aspect units, but mostly blue hero. And then we're running Force Lightning, which I think is one of the strongest events in this next set. And then, No Glory, Power of the Dark Side, OB, and then Palp's Return. So this is a slower deck, more of a control deck. We are going to restore. We are going to use events to remove our opponent's stuff. We're going to heal. We got some Sentinels. And then we're going to play the new Anakin. Is really good in this deck. Probably one of the 2 best decks for new Anakin. And then with Palp's Return, we can get lots of crazy value out of Luke, Redemption, Obi-Wan, and Anakin. So looking at the leader, on his front side, he uses an action, and you exhaust him, and you have to use the Force. Play a Villainy non-unit card from your hand, and you ignore its aspect penalties. So you could play upgrades, or you can play events, and then he deploys on 5 resources, and when he deploys, he's a 4 power, 6 health unit, which is really good for those stats, is good for that cost. And then he has the same ability, action. You just don't have to exhaust him this time. Use the Force. Play a Villainy non-unit card from your hand, ignoring its aspect penalties. So, obviously, he's restricted on deck building in Premier because he only provides you 1 aspect, and every other leader except for him and Darth Revan, you get 2 aspects, heroic and something else. So, that limits our deck building options, but his ability to play Villainy cards opens deck building up also. So he's tempted by the dark side, and we're gonna use that to our advantage. So the general game plan, we want to play strong blue hero units. We want to use Anakin's ability to play awesome Villainy events. This is a control-ish deck, more control than anything else, but we will trade with units at times. We're trying to win with Anakin's and Luke's late game. We have a decent restore and healing package. We have a little bit of card draw and really strong Force synergy here. So some Legends of the Force cards that are really good here. So Itinerant Warrior is a newer addition. I had Ki-Adi-Mundi, but the coordinate was never reliable. I had the Daughter, but I found I was using the Force not for Anakin's ability enough. So I switched to Itinerant Warrior to get the 1 burst of 3 healing to my base instead of a consistent 2 if she's alive, and you can keep generating the Force. So the Itinerant Warrior is really strong, a 4/4 shielded that you can heal 3. And then Chirrut's really good. So it was between him and the Daughter, and I went with Chirrut for that card that's going to consistently use the Force. So Chirrut is a 3/5, and you can use the Force when he's attacked because he's a Sentinel to reduce the power of the attacker by 2. So he makes your opponent's attacks weaker, and they have to attack into him. So usually he can survive 2, if not 3 attacks, if you can generate the Force and use it for him. So that's like the main Legends of the Force stuff in here that isn't the leader or new Anakin. And then here is our Villainy event package. 3, or not 3, but we run in the 3-cost Power of the Dark Side. Everybody knows what that does. No Glory Only Results is really good. Everybody knows what that does. It's really good at stealing problem units, good at dealing with the Chewbacca pilot, good at letting us ramp and denying our opponent ramp. And then Overwhelming Barrage is probably the most played card in the game. And then Palpatine's Return. So all these cards we want to play with Anakin's ability. Force Lightning is just a great tool to get rid of anything, because the units lose all abilities. We can deal with leaders, we can deal with problem units, whatever it is, we can deal with it with Force Lightning. So yeah, we want to use our Villainy events to remove units and Palpatine's Return to keep playing our strong stuff, because our units late game, like new Anakin, can remove a unit, sometimes 2 units when he's played, and when we keep playing Palpatine's Return, we can keep doing it. We can keep removing and win through attrition. So here's the sauce. The main game plan of the deck is to get Villainy cards in our discard pile, and we're going to have hero cards in our discard pile, and then we're going to play new Anakin, and then when he's played, he can -3/-3 something if there's a hero card, and -3/-3 something if there's a villain card in our discard pile. So we can hit 2 separate units with the -3/-3, or we can hit 1 unit twice, which is similar to the Luke ability. And then he's a 5/7, and then we have Luke at 7 that can give a -3/-3 or a -6/-6. And then when those things get removed, then we replay him with Palpatine's Return, and we keep reducing our opponent's stats until they're not there anymore. And then obviously Luke has the Restore 3, but this is our end game plan, is Anakin and Luke and Palpatine's Return, to keep replaying them. And it's really annoying, and you're going to be removing a bunch of units and replaying ours. Sideboard, I have 2 Drain Essence. So Drain Essence, I go back and forth on. Some things I like about it is it allows me to hit the Space Arena, and it replaces the Force token on itself. So it's like a worse Daring Raid, but it replaces the Force token on itself. So that's its utility, and I mainly put it in against like Vader and Akbar that are trying to make a bunch of space tokens. Same thing with the 3 Entrench. That's to deal with problem space units, big space units, so they can't swing, because our space package is just to keep us alive, and then Redemption also just to keep us alive. Whirlwind of Power, I would love this to be main deck. We'll probably end up there at some point after more games, but give a unit -2/-2, and if you control a Force unit, give it -3/-3 instead. This combos really well with Drain Essence, actually, because you can get rid of a 5 health unit relatively easily. It also works well with Anakin and Luke, since we're already reducing stats, and it's a good way to get around units with shields. So Whirlwind of Power is really good. It'll probably end up main deck at some point, but right now I have it in the side, because I'm really leaning into the Villainy units. And then 2 Super Laser Blasts, because sometimes you got to reset the board, and sometimes you can get overwhelmed, and putting in Super Laser Blast and being able to reset the board with our strong late game, so then we can Palpatine's Return and play our other bombs again, works out pretty well. Other considerations for the deck: some older cards, Frozen in Carbonite is a Villainy non-unit card we can play. Again, similar to Entrench, to deal with problem space units. Kanan and Village Protectors are 2 units that could work their way into the main deck. They're both solid units for their costs. Execute Order 66 is a 4-cost event from Twilight that I think will probably end up in the sideboard at some point. It says, deal 6 damage to each Jedi unit, and then for each unit defeated this way, its controller creates a Clone Trooper token. The set, there's going to be Jedi everywhere, so this is probably a strong consideration to get into a bunch of sideboards. Giving Power is another upgrade I'm really high on right now, because not only does it give a stat buff, but it's removal on a stick, because you get to deal damage to an enemy unit equal to its power when you play it. So it does cost 5, and it's a little expensive, but you're given a +2/+2, and you're dealing most times 6 to 8 damage most of the time, to remove an opponent's unit, and it's not locked into non-leader, so you can attack leaders and clear leaders with this. So Craving Power I've been excited about in other decks, and I could definitely see it working its way into Anakin. And then the Tragedy of Plagueis is a new one coming out that is a little weird. You choose a friendly unit, and then for this phase it can't be defeated by having no remaining HP, so it's the cheered ability on an event for the phase. And then an opponent chooses a unit they control and they defeat it. I think this could have some utility, but I need to play with them more, but it is a consideration in the future. So then another look at the deck. So yeah, the Knight, Sister Warrior, Yoda, and Obi-Wan give us some card draw, and then we have healing between the Restored Arcs, Yaddle, Yoda, Itinerant Warrior, Luke, and Redemption. We have healing. Yeah, we got the Sentinel package with Chirrut and Concord Dawn, and Obi-Wan as like a mid-game Sentinel, and then our strong Villainy event package. So this deck has been a lot of fun. I know some people that I've been talking to on the Discord are excited about it. But yeah, early game, you want to play. I like Secret of Sage or Yaddle turn 1 most times. Night Sister Warrior, I would love probably to be something else, but it's a 2-cost force unit, and the when defeated is nice to replace itself eventually. But they're all force units except for the Arc. Yaddle starts restoring early. And then we want to get into Chirrut and Itinerant Warrior and start controlling the board between those units and our Villainy events. And then we start turning the corner and playing Anakin's, Barrage's, Obi-Wan's, Luke's, and then Power Return to keep playing them. And then our leader deploys on 5, and he's a pretty solid 4/6. He's a good barrage target. And you get Obi-Wan out, and he survives, and you can buff him even more, and he's stronger. And then it's just between the healing and the Villainy event package, and which includes mainly the Palp's Return with the Luke and Anakin's. That's the main thing. Palp's Return, Anakin, and the Luke. You get those going, and it's really hard for your opponent to keep up, because you're going to be removing their units, you're going to be healing, and you're going to be just replaying bombs over and over again. Eventually, they're going to run out of gas. In Blue Force, it's a lot of fun. You guys should go play it. You should try it out. Have fun. I'll have the unlisted deck link that I'm using in the description, so you'll be able to whenever you see this and you'll click the link, it'll be the most updated version. If I make changes, you'll see that. So that's it. That's the list. He's a lot of fun, and we'll see you in the arenas.